Welcome, everybody, to the Sunday edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Metal Mike, and I'm joined here, as always, with the man with the best beard in the business, my co-host here every Sunday morning here on the Huddle Hub Podcast, Mr. Cam G. Cam, how you doing on this wonderful football Sunday?
Believe it or not, we are finally here at the end of the NFL season, Week 18. There's a lot of win or go home scenarios for a lot of teams to either get in the playoffs or they'll be sitting at home. So I'm very excited, very nervous, a whole bunch of emotions. So it's going to be a big afternoon and a big night. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting last night and I watched both the games last night. I watched the Panthers-Bucks. I watched the Niners-Seahawks. And I was sitting thinking, like, man, I can't believe it is already Week 18. I can't believe we are already here, the end of the season. And then I got to thinking, I want to go down the list and see how many meaningful games there are this week. Because you sit back and think in hindsight, like the Niners and Seahawks were playing for the NFC West and number one seed in the playoffs, and the loser was going to be number 5. And then you had the Bucks and the Panthers playing for the NFC South. Obviously, there's a game today that matters in that situation. So I'm sitting and thinking, how many games actually have any type of meaning this week? There are 10 games. 10 games that have meaning attached to it this week. And we're going to run down those games. We're also going to get into the records and milestones that can be broken this week. We're going to get into the playoff picture. We're going to talk about the updated playoff picture after last night. And we're going to get into the news as well. But before we do so, everybody head over to the Huddle Hub Podcast over on social media, over on X and TikTok at the Huddle Hub Pod, and over on YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod as well. You're going to hit the follow button on X and TikTok. You're going to hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow on the YouTube. And over on Twitch, you're going to hit the follow button, turn that notification on, so that way you know when we go live. We go live normally every Sunday morning and every Tuesday night. Sunday morning 10:30 and Tuesday night 7 p.m. But because we have the playoffs and everything coming up, we're going to have Saturday shows the next 2 weeks. So Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday for the next couple weeks. Make sure you're heading over and helping us build the Huddle Podcast through the rest of the 2025 season and beyond. And I say because 2025 season because it's still the 2025 NFL season, even though we're in 2026. This is the last week that I could say 2025 season. Because now we're in 2026 and the playoffs start next week. So I got to get used to saying the 2026 NFL playoffs and beyond. Yeah, I got to train my brain to do so. So, okay, let's get into the first order of business, and that is the news coming out of the last 24 hours. Yes, I didn't think there was actually going to be news to talk about in the past 24 hours, because I covered all the news from the week, and I'm like, there can't be any news to talk about. And guess what? Coaching carousel news came out last night. So we're going to get into that. First off, Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver of the Giants, he was placed on injured reserve. He will not be playing this week. His season is done. Breece Hall, running back of the Jets, he was placed on the inactive list for today. He's going to become a free agent this offseason. So Breece Hall basically could be done with the Jets. That could be it. And I'm going to say this right now, Cam. I think he's done with the Jets. I think he moves on. I think he goes to a team that's going to benefit for him. And actually, because Breece Hall is a hell of a running back. He is one hell of a running back. I think he ends up somewhere where he can actually do something and not be stuck. You know what I mean? Because the Jets, man, it's a rough go in New York for a lot of players.
You can say that again.
Put the whole Jets team on the inactive list. I mean,
might as well.
Might as well. Me and John, we make our picks each week. We do our pick challenge. And what's really crazy is I was going through our like, I keep tally of how many times we pick each team through the season, right? And I have picked every team this year. It took me until like week I think like week 12 to pick the Saints, and it took me until week 16 to pick the Titans. John, it took him until like week 10 or 11 to pick the Saints. And the only team he did not pick in the AFC this year in any games or any week was the Jets. Didn't pick the Jets at all this year in our pick challenge. First time ever a team has never been picked in our pick challenge in the 10 years we've been doing it, which is crazy. So
that's insane.
It is. It is very insane. Very. But Breece Hall, man, becoming a free agent this offseason, I think he deserves to go somewhere where he's going to be able to shine. A lot of people are saying that they could see him going to a team and having a, 2024 Saquon Barkley-esque type season. And it could happen because he is a hell of a running back.
He is.
So, Terrence Ferguson, tight end of the Rams, he's going to be doubtful against the Cardinals today. He's dealing with a hamstring injury, so he may not be playing today against the Cardinals. A lot of players today we're not going to see play. We're not. The Eagles, they're benching most of their starters. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley. Even though the Eagles have an opportunity, there's some scenarios connected to the Eagles game. But even though they have scenarios, they're not playing their starters. And there's some other teams that are not playing a lot of players today because it's week 18 and their season's done. They have nothing to play for. It's fine Dak hasn't played all year. I'll say this. I think Dak Prescott really didn't have a bad season. At least
like mid-season, and then it was just like fell apart.
Dak Prescott, yeah, his season really wasn't that bad. I know at one point he was like mid-season and MVP talk. 4,400 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a 99.9 pass rating with 67.4 completion percent. Dak Prescott had a good year.
He didn't have
a bad year. 10 interceptions ain't bad. 30 touchdowns. I think he's up in like the top 5 in touchdown passes this year, up there with Drake May and Bo Nix, and he was in MVP talk at one point when the Cowboys were contenders, and then when they got eliminated, that was it. Like, you're not going to talk about it. That's just like Joe Burrow last year. Joe Burrow had a hell of a year last year, MVP year last year, but because the Bengals didn't have a winning season, he wasn't up for the MVP. So, hey, he could be the best flag football player in Cancun this year. You never know. Coaching carousel, Cam. A lot of coaching carousel news coming out in the past 24 hours. Now, some of this news has come out about a week ago. There was also a lot of talk weeks ago about some of these coaches. So I'm going to run down this list of coaches that are on I don't want to say hot seat because they may not be fired. I want to say that they're on the watch list. Okay. First coach, Pete Carroll, head coach of the Raiders. There's a possibility that he could be fired after the game against the Chiefs today. And it's only 1 year, Pete Carroll in Vegas. He could be gone. Todd Bowles, head coach of the Buccaneers. If the Buccaneers miss the playoffs, there's a possibility he could be fired today. Aaron Glenn, head coach of the Jets. There's a possibility he could be fired after the game against the Bills today, after his first year, because of the year the Jets had. Kevin Stefanski, after 6 seasons in Cleveland, could possibly be fired after their game against the Bengals today, but the GM, Andrew Berry, is likely to stay. First pick for sure. This might be the first year we see an entire division fire their AFC. No, because Tomlin's going to probably stay in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Tomlin's
not going anywhere.
Yeah, because Zach Taylor, there's a possibility Zach Taylor may be fired in Cincinnati. And John Harbaugh, if the Ravens do not make the playoffs, there's a possibility he gets fired. So the Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Mike Tomlin's the only one that would be safe. Mike McDaniel, there was a lot of talk about Mike McDaniel. He was told earlier this year that he was going to be safe in 2026. Now the Dolphins are reconsidering that. The organization is reconsidering Mike McDaniel. They may end up firing him. Jonathan Gannon, Cardinals head coach. Now I see Jonathan Gannon from the Cardinals being fired, and I see him going back to Philly as the offensive coordinator. Kevin Patullo, he has an interview with the Giants and the Titans this week for the head coaching positions. So I see Patullo out in Philly, and I see Jonathan Gannon coming back. And then Cliff Kingsbury, offensive coordinator of the Commanders. He could be ended up getting fired today after their game against the Eagles. A lot of coaches on this list. I think this is the most or the second most coaches list that we've seen in 10 years, Cam. So if you have any thoughts on this coaches list, by all means.
Well, I mean, when it comes to Stefanski, I think he should have been fired. I don't know why we've waited this long. He's made some questionable decisions, I think, all year. Just out there in Cleveland with the whole Shador's, situation or whatever. So Stefanski doesn't really surprise me. I think he should have already been gone. Mike McDaniel, I could easily see them, turning around and then just end up keeping Mike McDaniel for at least another year. He's another one that probably should be gone too. They look like they're headed for a pretty hard reset out there in Miami. They had a pretty rough year, losing Tyreek, and then Tua's play not being as good as what they needed it to be. So they're probably in store for another reset as well. Cliff Kingsbury is an interesting one because he's offensive coordinator, right?
Yes,
correct.
For the Commanders, yeah.
For me, that's now. This sounds crazy, but honestly, when the Steelers were in the market for an offensive coordinator, that's who I wanted. I wanted Cliff Kingsbury over Arthur Smith. So that would be my thing. I would say, I don't know what what the future holds for the Steelers in the offseason or what they're going to do after this season. If they keep Arthur Smith or whatnot, if they make some coaching changes, I'm hearing rumors that they will. I would say get rid of Arthur Smith, and I would say Cliff Kingsbury would be a great addition to the offensive coaching position, in my opinion. Other than that, I mean, like I said, there's just a lot of coaches on the chopping block, which again, like I said, is not really surprising, given that the state of a lot of these teams, and them needing resets essentially going into the next season. So yeah, it happens every year, and it's kind of like to be expected at this point,
I could see Cliff Kingsbury going to Pittsburgh. I think he would fit very well in that system.
That's what I'm saying.
And he would be a huge help. Let's say Aaron Rodgers decides to hang up the cleats after this year. Let's say he does, and your quarterback is Will Howard, who would be the next step up, unless Pittsburgh goes another direction with the quarterback position. Cliff Kingsbury can come in and help Will Howard.
There you go.
Because Kingsbury has a lot of experience with college quarterbacks. I mean, he coached in college. When he left Arizona, he left the NFL and coaching for a year. Then when he came back to coaching, he coached in college. He was the offensive coordinator, I believe, out in I'm trying to think. I think it was South Carolina, I believe it was South Carolina. He was an offensive coordinator or the quarterback coach out at a college when he came back to coaching after being gone for a year. And then he got hired by the Commanders. So I could see that. I could see Cliff Kingsbury in Pittsburgh. I could see it. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. And I see Jonathan Gannon heading back to Philadelphia as the offensive coordinator because he worked very well as the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia before he got his head coaching job in Arizona. So we'll have to see. Last bit of news. It is the 11, and we have to do this, Cam, because we are number one. We are fans talking sports, primarily football, on this show, and I think it would be a slight disservice if we didn't show recognition to one Stuart Scott. Now, Stuart Scott, he was an analyst for ESPN. Today is the 11-year anniversary of his passing. And if you don't know who Stuart Scott is, go look up highlights of him on YouTube. I promise you will become a fan of Stuart Scott. I mean, the man was a genius when it came to recapping sports, not just football, basketball, baseball, sports. He made you care about sports that you didn't care about, whether it's hockey, tennis, golf. He made you care because of the way that he presented recapping sports on Sports Center. So, I mean, it's been 11 years still. Stuart Scott, one of my idols when it comes to sports talk. And, you know, it's sad to just think it's sad to think that it's been 11 years. It's sad to think that it's been 11 years, but his memory lives on. And do yourself a favor. If you have never, ever heard or seen Stuart Scott, go check him out after the show. I promise you will not be disappointed. Promise you will not be disappointed. So, Cam, let's get into the playoff picture. Okay, we got the playoff picture. Now, the seedings right now, as it stands, the Seahawks have clinched the number 1 seed in the NFC side of things. The Bears currently hold the number 2 seed. Eagles are the 3 seed. And the Panthers and Bucks, they await the Falcons-Saints game today to see who clinches the NFC South and who goes home. The 49ers currently hold the 5 seed. The Rams currently hold the 6 seed. And the Packers are locked in to the 7 seed. Now, I'm gonna point out all the stuff that can happen today with this. In the AFC side of things, we got the Broncos, who are the number 1 seed in the West. Currently, the Patriots are the number 2 seed. Currently in the AFC, the Jaguars are the number 3 seed in the AFC side of things, and the Jaguars currently are the winner of the Ravens and the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. Will get the 4 seed and the winner of the NFC North. The Texans currently hold the 5 seed. Chargers hold the 6 seed. Bills hold the 7 seed. So the only thing that needs to be decided is the AFC North. That's it. That's what needs to be decided to lock things in. Yeah, he was the coach at USC. Okay. Yeah, I knew he was a coach somewhere. I thought like South Carolina or something like that. So let's get into the playoff scenarios. Let's get into the seeding, all that stuff. Number 1, the NFC West was clinched last night. The Seattle Seahawks win the NFC West. The 49ers are currently in the 5 spot. They can end up in the 6 seed, and I will explain in a moment how. But the Bucks and Falcons, they await the Bucks and the Panthers await the Falcons game today. If the Falcons end up losing, then the Buccaneers clinch the NFC South and a playoff spot, and the Panthers go home. If the Falcons win or tie, the Panthers clinch the NFC South and a playoff spot, and the Buccaneers go home. And then the Eagles, they need to win, and they need a Bears loss in order to move up to the 2nd seed. Now, there's more stuff that can be moved around. Again, I'm going to get into it when we run down the games. In the AFC side of things, for home field advantage, the Broncos, they need to win or need a Patriots loss to clinch home field advantage. The Patriots need to win, and they need a Broncos loss to clinch home field advantage. The Steelers and Ravens, winner wins the North, loser goes home. The Jaguars, they can clinch home field advantage with a win and a Broncos and Patriots loss. And with the division, all they need to do is win to win the AFC South. The Texans, to win the AFC South, they need to win, and they need a Jaguars loss. So those are the scenarios for the AFC side of things. If I missed anything, again, we will run down everything. When we go down the games, because I will explain everything. So let's get into the records and milestones that could be clinched today. Okay. Number 1, Cam, are you ready for this crazy record and milestone that could be broken today? The Buffalo Bills, they play the Jets today. Okay. The New York Jets All season, the defense has 0 interceptions. The New York Jets can be the first team since 1933 to not have an interception if they don't get one today. The first defense since 1933.
That's wild.
How nuts is that? Almost over 90 years. It will be 92 years since the last team that did not get an interception on defense. And the Jets can end up breaking that today. How crazy is that? Like, how does that happen? How does a defense not get an interception? Like, I see it happening in Madden because I'll say this right now. I almost went a full season in Madden without an interception on defense. That's a video game. This is real life. You're telling me this Jets defense couldn't find one mistake to snag an interception?
And they were really good at the beginning of the season, too.
I mean, the defense, their defense was good at the beginning of the year. Yeah, they were good, but they couldn't force an interception. Couldn't take advantage of being decent. And now they are 4 quarters, 60 minutes away from not having an interception this year. I kind of hope the Bills-Jets game is on my TV today so I can watch this to see if it happens or not. Like, I want the Bills and Jets game on one, and I want the Browns and Bengals game on another. That way I could see Myles Garrett break the record that he should have broken weeks ago.
Yeah, that should have been happening at this point.
I'll say this right now. Last week's talk about, the Steelers were worried about him more than winning, I think is bullcrap. Myles Garrett should have had this record weeks ago. Should have. Because there was a couple times where other players on that defensive line have taken sacks away from him. He should have had the record weeks ago. So that double teaming, worrying about, that's no, bullcrap. But the Jets, like, I want to watch them to see if they get an interception. Like, how crazy would it be if they end up getting it on the very last pass play of the game? Like, just some, like, bullshit toss-up that Josh Allen does, and they end up snagging it. I can just see it now. With 7 seconds left in the game, the Jets get their first interception of the season. Like, everybody goes nuts. It's going to be like the Jets won the fucking Super Bowl.
I was about to say that's going to be their Super Bowl.
Just imagine that. That would be nuts. Let's get into the records and milestones, though. Jared Goff, he will play today. Now, I did confirm that these players are going to be playing today. Because if the player's not playing, then I took them off the list. So, for example, one player that I did take off the list was Justin Herbert. He's going to be benched today. He did have a record and milestone that he could have set today, but he's benched. He's not going to play. Trey Lance is going to start for the Chargers today. So, Jared Goff, he is 7 passing yards away from surpassing Drew Brees for 4th most passing yards by a player in their first 150 games. He is also 180 yards away from surpassing Kirk Cousins for 3rd all-time for most passing yards in 150 games. So 7 yards away from passing Drew Brees, 180 yards away from surpassing Kirk Cousins. So Jared Goff, man, he can end up getting in the record books today. Jahmyr Gibbs, running back of the Lions, he is 2 rushing touchdowns away from tying Emmitt Smith for 4th most by a player in their first 3 seasons. He currently has 41 rushing touchdowns in his career. So Emmitt Smith, who has 43, he can end up surpassing Emmitt Smith. And also Barry Sanders has 43, so he would actually tie with Barry Sanders. And Eric Dickerson has 44. Earl Campbell has 45. So, yeah. So he would end up tying Barry Sanders with those 2 rushing touchdowns. Justin Jefferson is 83 yards away from joining Mike Evans and Randy Moss as the only player with 1,000 yards in each of their first 6 seasons. So Justin Jefferson has had 1,000 yards every season, which is, he's WR1. It's going to happen. It's not a very common thing for the wide receiver 1 to not have more than 1,000 yards. So Justin Jefferson to be on this list makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially being like the key guy in Minnesota. So Bo Nix, he's actually going to play today for the Broncos. He's not going to be benched either. With a win, he could tie Russell Wilson for most wins by a quarterback in their first 2 seasons. He is currently at 22 wins. Russell Wilson had 23 in his first 2 seasons. Bo Nix is going for his 23rd win in his first 2 years. Bo Nix can get in the record books. Myles Garrett, as we know, a half a sack away from tying Michael Strahan and TJ Watt for the season sack record. He is 1 full one away from breaking it. So he gets the half one. He'll have 22 and a half. He ties the record. He gets a full one. That's 23. He breaks it. Jamar Chase, wide receiver of the Bengals. He is 44 receiving yards away from surpassing Randy Moss and Torrey Holt for second most yards by a player in their first 5 seasons. And he is 100 yards away from tying Torrey Holt for 4th most by a player in their first 5 seasons. So Jamar Chase getting in the record books again. Christian McCaffrey, he broke a record last night. He was 4 receptions away from tying and 5 receptions away from surpassing LaDainian Tomlinson for most receptions in history by a running back. He had 6 catches last night. So he passed him. So, and then last one, Matthew Stafford. He has 3 touchdowns and 110 passing rating away from becoming the 4th quarterback with the stats in 4 primetime games. So Matthew Stafford, Rams don't play in primetime today. Why did I think the Rams played in primetime? I don't know why I thought the Rams played in primetime. He could have broke this record last week. I fudged up. But he is 1 touchdown pass away from tying Tom Brady for 2nd all-time for touchdown passes by a player the age 37 or older. So he's 1 touchdown pass away from tying Brady and becoming 2nd all-time. 2 away from becoming 2nd all-time on his own. So those are the records and milestones. That's that. So, oh, man. I didn't think I had this much to cover today, Cam. I didn't think we had this much. Jeez.
That happens.
Right? All right. So I got to get some stuff in order here for the Week 18 schedule. Give us about 30 seconds, guys. We're going to take a 30-second commercial break here on the Huddle Up Podcast. We'll be right back. All right, guys, so make sure you're heading over to the Huddle Hub Podcast on social media after the show over on X and TikTok. You're hitting that follow button. Over on the YouTube, you're going to hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow on the YouTube. And all of the links to all of our socials are in the bio in the Twitch channel. So all you have to do is click on the social media that you desire to go to, because I know not everybody has every social media. Cam, you talk to everybody and you say, oh, do you have a TikTok? No, I don't have a TikTok. It's like everybody has TikTok nowadays. Come on. The only one I don't really expect people to have is X. Not everybody, goes on X. But if you have a desired social media to go on, all of our links are in the bio in the Twitch channel. Just click on it, go to it, and please hit that follow button. Help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast going through the rest of the 2025 NFL season and beyond. So I always try and work my timing out to where that like fades away. Like, I don't want to have to, go and click on the picture thing, even though it's a pretty easy thing to do. I still do. I don't know. I try and do timing things. It's some weird like that, I guess. I don't know. We were only 30 minutes into the show, Cam. I didn't think we all the stuff that we had today, man. I just didn't think we'd get through it so quick. It's like, man, what do we do with ourselves? So Cam, here's the thing, is we have 10 meaningful games.
Yes.
On the docket today. That's the thing. We have 10 meaningful games. 2 meaningful games happened last night. Okay. And, we've seen the Buccaneers beat the Panthers 16-14. Seahawks went out, dominated the 49ers last night 13-3. Domination, man. The Seahawks, man, they just dominated the 49ers. I was so surprised. So surprised. John, my co-host here on Tuesday nights, he's a 49ers fan, and with his new work schedule, couldn't watch the Niners game last night. So he was saving to watch the Niners game today when he gets home from work for his football game to watch today. And part of me was like, I do not want to text him and tell him to not waste his time. I do not want to ruin it. Like, if he wants to watch the game, let him watch the game. If he texts me and says, hey, how's the 49ers game? I'll tell him straight up. But I'm not going to, stop him from watching the 49ers game. So we're going to run down the meaningful games that have meaning. These are the meaningless games on the list. The Browns and the Bengals, meaningless. Packers and Vikings, meaningless. Cowboys, Giants, meaningless. And the Jets and the Bills have zero meaning to it. Zero. Now, with that being said, when we look at meaningless games or meaningless home games, we always look at ticket prices just to let the people know, hey, this is how much it would be to go to a game if you want to go to a game today. Browns-Bengals, if you're in the Cincinnati area and you want to go to the Browns-Bengals game today, $44 for a ticket. $44. Cheapest ticket. If you want to go to the Packers-Vikings game and you're in the Minnesota area, because the Packers are a 7-seed playoff team, $62. Okay? For the Jets and the Bills, this is the Jets and the Bills. It is the final game at Old Highmark before they open the new Highmark next year. The Bills are in the playoffs. It's the last game at Old Highmark. $187 for a ticket at Old Highmark for the last game. And then the Cowboys Giants today, they're playing at MetLife Stadium. You want to go to the game? $26 for a Cowboys Giants game.
See, that's what I would think Bengals Browns would have been.
Right? I think it's $44 as the cheapest ticket because there is something that could have some meaning because of, Myles Garrett. You want to pay $40 to watch him break the record in person? Come and do it.
I suppose.
That's my perspective, and it's the cheapest way to watch, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson all play in non-playoff form. Okay. You'd spend $1 to watch the Jets. Well, I mean,
you wouldn't spend $1 to watch.
Oh, you wouldn't spend $1 to watch. Oh, I read that wrong. Sorry. You wouldn't spend $1 to watch the Jets, but you'd be seeing them play the Bills. So, I mean, you can always just go root on the Bills. I mean, it's their last game at Highmark. Just be a Bills fan for the day. You don't have to switch teams completely. Just go and be a Bills fan for the day. Nothing wrong with that. I already told John next year, the 49ers, John's a 49ers fan. They're going to be playing the Giants at MetLife next year. And we're talking about possibly, pending on, life situations and stuff, we might actually go to the game. I told him, I said, I'll buy a 49ers shirt and a cheap 49ers hat, and I'll be a Niners fan for the day because I ain't going to wear Giants shit. Hell no. You think that would be a bad idea? Bad idea. You think I would touch Giants gear? Nope. Not happening. So those are the meaningless games in Week 18. Okay? So let's run down the games that have meaning. And of course, I got to do my introductory thing and everything like that because we do post videos on social media every day. So for the intensive purposes of the social media, we're going to do this right. I'm not going to do this the wrong way. So we'll run down the meaningful games. I just got to get to my first meaningful game on the 1 o'clock set. So here we go. Okay. All right. First game of the 1 o'clock set. We got the Indianapolis Colts heading out to Houston to take on the Texans. If the Texans win and the Jaguars lose today, the Texans win the AFC South. Cam, what do you got on the Colts and Texans?
It's going to be the Texans. Like I said, the Colts, I feel like their whole game plan once Daniel Jones got hurt was to really just stay afloat. I don't think they had any intention of even attempting to make the playoffs or salvage their season. They just wanted to stay alive, and just keep it afloat. I can see them going back to trying to get these veteran quarterbacks instead of drafting a new quarterback or whatever, which will probably, I guess, in their current position, may not be the best idea anyways, just because it just would be another reset essentially. So I can see the Texans really taking over in this game. Like I said, their defense is really good. They really hit their stride. It almost was like as if mid-season it took CJ Stroud getting hurt for them to really refocus there mid-season. So I think since then they've been looking really good. So I'm looking towards the Texans, giving them the edge in this game, and I think it should be an easy win for them.
It took Davis Mills to come in and straighten things out.
Yes.
Davis Mills.
Yes.
But that defense, man, like if you didn't ride with that defense from that point on your fantasy team, like the Texans defense, you should have snagged them up that week that Davis Mills came in because you knew that defense was going to fight. And you held on to them because you knew they were going to put up the points, and they did. They did. Fantasy's over. Fantasy season's over. I finished in 8th place in my fantasy league this year. And yeah, my chair sucks, man. My chair's terrible. I need to get a new one. It sucks. His chair is so worn out. I mean, you got to remember, Cam, 4 shows a week, man. I mean,
that's true. The
constant work I'm doing in this chair's shot at this point. So I apologize for the squeakies, but you can't do anything about it. WD-40 won't even fix it. But I mean, fantasy year's over, and I'm going to say this right now. I logged into my fantasy app yesterday, and I still set up my roster to see how good my roster does this week, just to kind of close out the regular season. Week 18, season's over, all that stuff. I just want to see what points I put up. That's it. See if I can put together, a roster that can go out, whatever's available out there and stuff like that. So, like, I have CJ Stroud starting because Jalen Hurts ain't playing. I got the Texans defense, Jerry Jeudy from the Browns because he's been killing it. Like, I just want to see what points I put up. It's not going to count towards anything, but it's the fact of, like, it took Davis Mills to come in and get this stuff jump-started for the Texans.
Yeah.
And then CJ Stroud looked and said, damn, like, I can lose my job to this guy if he continues this.
Like, get together.
It can happen. And CJ Stroud since then has gotten his stuff together. So, yeah. It's crazy how that happened. So, all right. We got the New Orleans Saints heading out to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Now, you're probably thinking this game has no meaning. These teams aren't in the playoffs. Well, hold your horses. This game has some meaning. If the Falcons win, the Panthers clinch the NFC South and a playoff berth. But if the Falcons lose, the Buccaneers clinch the NFC South and a playoff berth. Cam, what do you got on the Saints and Falcons?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that if the Falcons lose, the Panthers would still make it. And they would, and this is what I saw yesterday. This is what I heard yesterday in the Bucs game against the Panthers. The Panthers would still make it, and they would be the first team to host a wild card playoff game with a losing record in a decade, which is insane to me.
Well, so, if the Falcons lose the Bucs will clinch. And if the Falcons win, the Panthers clinch.
Yeah, okay. I had that backwards. So the Falcons win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, like I said, that's insane. That's ridiculous. To have a team in there at 8-9 and they would be able to host a wild card game. It's insane to me.
Seahawks did it back in like 2004. They were 6-10 and they hosted a playoff game.
Nuts.
Yeah.
So that's I think that just it just speaks volumes, I think, to how weird this season has been in general. To be put in this position and just with that just weird NFC South in general right now. So but this is a very very important game for the Bucs over the Panthers to be able to get into the playoffs. I guess I'm gonna have to take the Saints in this one. The Saints have been looking really good ever since starting Tyler Show, I think is his last name. Shook. Yeah. Like I said, maybe that's their guy now. I don't know. They started Spencer Rattler for most of this season, and that really didn't work out. I don't think the way they had wanted or had hoped. So, but ever since they started Tyler Shook, hey, everything has been looking up for them. They beat the Panthers twice, which I didn't see happening. So yeah, I mean, like I said, they look good. I think that if they make some more roster moves going into next season, that they should be in a better position. So I have to take the Saints in this one.
I mean, just thinking of if the Saints win, the Buccaneers clinch, and they can end up possibly saving Todd Bowles' job in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Because Raheem Morris for the Falcons, he's also, and this is one that we didn't have on the list, but he's also on the chopping block as well. Raheem Morris in Atlanta. He's on the chopping block as well. He was on the chopping block for 3 weeks now. I think they're just waiting for the season to be over at this point.
Yeah.
Because, I think, we had the 2 early season firings in New York and Tennessee for the Giants and Tennessee. I don't think any other team really wanted to make that headline. So I think their thing is like, look, the season's bad. Let's just let these coaches finish out. Let's wait until, Pink Slip Sunday and Black Monday, because they call today Pink Slip Sunday, and then tomorrow's going to be Black Monday. So, yeah, that's what they call it. They call it every year. That's what it's called. So today would be Pink Slip Sunday because as the coach is walking back to the locker room, if they're going to be fired, they get handed a pink slip. And then Monday, they call it Black Monday because they end up going into the meeting and they end up getting told, they're fired. And there's that big black cloud hanging over them because of the fact that they got fired and they did a shitty job this year and blah, 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 blah. And that was it. That's why it's called all that. So that's been the name and the moniker for it for years and years. So Raheem Morris has been on the chopping block for a while. And I think the Falcons just said, you know what? Let's give this guy till the end of the year. We don't want to be in that headline, and Tyler Shook taking over. And I think Tyler Shook is the guy out in New Orleans at this point. Yeah. He has won a lot of games for New Orleans this year. And the possibilities of the Saints finishing 7-10, which would be a +2 improvement from last year's 5-12 finish. So Tyler Shook coming in, taking over, I think was their key. Now it's all about building around Tyler Shook, getting him the guys that can help him go out and win ball games.
Yeah.
Because even though he's going out and doing it with the roster that he has now, doesn't mean it could be a successful full season with the roster that's there. They're going to have to go out and pick up some pieces of the puzzle to fit in and really improve to put themselves into the position to go out and not only win their division, but clinch a playoff berth and beyond. So I think they found their guy in Tyler Shook, and now it's about putting the pieces of that puzzle together and building around him. So Spencer Rattler, I think, is going to be a backup at this point. I don't see any other team really being interested in picking Spencer Rattler up because Spencer Rattler, it's only his second year, but sometimes you see enough from a quarterback after 2 years to know, this guy ain't going to be able to lead my team. Is there a possibility he goes and tries to lead somewhere else, like, a team that's desperate for a quarterback? There is. But do I see success? No. I was very high on Spencer Rattler when he got drafted. I was. But that very quickly faded away when I seen him play. I was like, this guy, he was decent on the college level. He got to the NFL level and things kind of just fell apart for him, which is sad to see. It was sad to see for the kid. So we'll have to see. Last game of the 1 o'clock set, we got the Tennessee Titans heading out to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. The Jaguars have some clinching scenarios attached to them. First off, if they win the AFC South. That's number one. Or if the Texans lose, they clinch the AFC South. But not only that, the Jaguars can still clinch the number 1 seed. If they win and the Broncos and Patriots both lose their games, the Jaguars can end up getting the number 1 seed. Cam, what do you got on the Titans and Jaguars?
This should be a cakewalk for the Jaguars, honestly. I mean, you could end up seeing Trevor Lawrence end up throwing another 5 touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown, 6 total touchdowns. Who knows? But like I said, I definitely think that this is going to be a runaway train for the Jaguars. The Titans they never really got their footing. I feel like their season just never really started. And they had some they had a lot of questions, I think, going into the season, starting the rookie Cam Ward and whatnot. So I don't think they had a game plan from the word go, but the Jaguars definitely shocked me because I really didn't see them being that good this year. So they definitely have surprised a lot of people. And just being the shock, I guess, right now in the AFC. So Jaguars all day long. I really don't think they should have any issues here.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans, I was kind of questionable on them starting Cam Ward this year. I was kind of like, you know what? I understand Will Levis is out. There's still a couple veteran quarterbacks that they could have went out and picked up and started this season and let Cam Ward sit and just kind of learn the game. It's not so much that they had to bring in a full-on mentor to lead him. All he had to do was sit back and watch the game, watch the speed of the game, watch defenses, get the feel for defensive formations that he has to watch out for, offensive formations that he's going to be playing in and putting up. That's all they need to do with Cam Ward. And then year 2, then you decide, okay, do we start him or do we go and get a better veteran quarterback that's available out there and bring him in and really teach this kid? The problem is we don't see many rookie quarterbacks that are in the first or second round that get drafted that sit in year 1, especially first round picks. We don't see them really sit in year 1. They're on the field. And I get it that a lot of teams have that win now mentality, and that's why they do that. There's very few teams that still follow the veteran quarterback teaches the rookie quarterback thing. The Steelers still do it. They currently have been doing it with Aaron Rodgers and Will Howard. I'm trying to think who else does it. I know New Orleans tried to do it, and then Tyler Shook came in and took over. But it's just the point of, like, some of these rookie quarterbacks, they come in and they fail their first year, and then it's like, oh, the guy's deemed a bust because he was playing on a team that just couldn't get wins. Cam Ward, I do not think, is a bust. He's had a pretty good statistical year. It's all about what the Titans put around him. And now in Tennessee, you have the general manager who is not only in charge of the head coaching hiring for next year, but he is now going to be in charge of the 53-man roster, which means he gets to decide who's on the team next year. General manager, the guy who is not on the field with these players and coaches 90% of the time, is going to decide who stays and who goes. I think this is a big, big mistake by Tennessee to make this move. You don't put an office personnel guy in charge of a 53-man roster and expect him to have the right team to be put on the field. So I think Tennessee really should reconsider this before the 2026 season. Unless there's something I'm missing about this general manager that I don't know, I don't think he has the full-on capabilities and thought process to say, this is our running back, and this is the guy that's going to hit free agency after preseason. So, Tennessee fans, I'm going to say this right now. Expect the same thing you got this year next year.
That's rough. That's rough.
If I was a Titans fan, if I was a Titans season ticket holder, I'd be selling my tickets next year already. I would be. You thought the Jets were bad. You thought the ownership was bad in New York, basing players off of Madden because a 17-year-old kid said they didn't have a high Madden rating. Did you know about that?
I didn't know about that.
The owner's kid, the owner of the Jets, 17-year-old son, plays Madden. I think he's 17. Teenage kid. Plays Madden, right? Goes to dad and says, this player that you want to pick up only has an 82 rating in Madden. Do not get him. And then the player ends up going and having a Pro Bowl year somewhere else. A lot of players that could have ended up in New York and helped that football team. And because of the Madden rating, didn't pick them up.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this was huge news last year. Huge news. Yeah.
That's the Madden rating.
That's disgusting. Because of a Madden rating. Disgusting. Yeah. Tennessee fans, I'm telling you, sell your tickets. Sell them next year. Don't sit there and think you're even going to be touching the postseason, let alone a division championship, because you're going to be facing possibly the same thing. I think Tennessee really needs to reconsider this. Because just imagine if they bring in the right head coach that has a lot of experience to set a 53-man roster, but doesn't have the powers to do so because the GM does. Imagine.
You're facing another Jerry Jones situation, basically.
Pretty much. Again, I don't know how much knowledge their GM has. I don't. You know what? We're going to look this up because I have a feeling that if we don't do this, it's going to ponder in my brain. Titans general manager. Let's see who the Titans general manager is. Mike Borgonzi is the Titans general manager. Let's see what Mike Borgonzi. Let's see what experience Mike Borgonzi has. Okay. Coaching. He was the tight end coach out in Amherst back in 2002. Amherst is a college team out in Massachusetts, Division III. Yeah, a Division III tight end coach. Okay. As far as operations, he was the assistant recruiting coordinator out in Boston College, the administrator of college scouting, as well. Oh no, he was the assistant recruiting coordinator out at Boston College, and then for the Chiefs, he was the administrator of college scouting. He was also a manager of football operations for the Chiefs. He was a pro scout. He was an assistant director of pro scout, director of player personnel, director of football operations. He was an assistant general manager in Kansas City, and now he's the general manager in Tennessee. So, okay, I might have to take back what I said. He has some knowledge. Okay, well, let's see. Let's see how he does. I still think it's a mistake leaving your general manager in control of a 53-man roster. Has no head coaching experience.
And that's the key. I mean, if you have no head coaching experience, does he truthfully know what he's doing?
I mean, he has experience with players and setting rosters and stuff, but, this is a new age, man. Like, this game is so different now. It is. Like, football is so different now.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was the assistant GM out in Kansas City when Kansas City was, having all the success. And I still think Kansas City is going to be successful. I think this was just a bad year for Kansas City. They'll be back next year. I have no doubt Kansas City will be back winning the West and being in the playoffs and stuff next year. This was a bad year for them. And they needed a year like this. They really did. That was a big run on them. Patriots had it at one point. They went on a nice, decent run, and then they had a year that was kind of off, missed the playoffs, didn't win the division, all that stuff. That happened to them when Tom was there. So they just need a break, and they're going to take it. So we'll have to see. Oh, man. All right. I just want to make sure I don't miss any more of the 1 o'clock set games, which I do not think I did. That's a 4 o'clock game. That's a night game. And that is a 4 o'clock game as well. Okay. I did. First game of the 4 o'clock set, we got the Arizona Cardinals heading out to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Cam, if the Rams win, they'll move up to the 5 seed. They are currently the 6 seed in the playoffs. If they win, they move up to the 5 seed, and the 49ers, who lost last night, will move down to the 6 seed. Cam, what do you got on the Cardinals and Rams?
I think it's going to be the Rams. Again, they've had a fantastic season. Again, coming out of the blue. They're typically, I would say, fairly successful. Since Sean McVay has been there. So I didn't know what to expect out of this team, out of this season, but it definitely, again, another team that pretty much exceeded my expectations. Matthew Stafford. I mean, I can't say enough about this guy. I mean, he's playing like this is like his 3rd year or something. Like he's been playing like a man possessed. Outside of a few games that I think he struggled in, he has definitely been somebody who has led the MVP candidate for, I would say, most of this year. So more so over for them in this game. I think it's going to be just pretty much a field day for them against the Arizona Cardinals, who, again, they lost Kyler Murray. And since then, it's just pretty much a free fall for them. Expect big changes and probably another, hard reset for them in the 2026 season. So the Rams, I think, will just ultimately take over in this game.
So the MVP candidate list has come out, and here it is. The top contending quarterbacks for league MVP: Drake May, Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts. Those are the quarterbacks that are kind of in the MVP race right now. Other notable names that are in the MVP candidacy is Jonathan Taylor, running back of the Colts, Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver of the Seahawks, and CJ Stroud, Texans quarterback. So those are the MVP candidates for this year. Obviously, that list is going to kind of get chopped down a little bit after this week because they will announce the league MVP probably next weekend already. We'll know who the league MVP is by next weekend or possibly the following weekend, because we normally know who the league MVP is before they do the honors award. Now, last year, they waited until the honors award to tell us who league MVP was, which I loved it. I did a watch along for the honors award last year, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh, they've been saying this guy's the MVP all year, yada, yada, yada. And then Josh Allen pops up, and I'm like, holy crap. Like, it was a big surprise. And the chat was going nuts because everybody was saying, like, everybody else but Josh Allen. Other players opposed to and except Josh Allen. And then Josh Allen pops up, and everybody in my chat and myself were like, what? What? Really? Huh? We were Scooby doing that shit. Like, holy crap. Surprised us completely. So I kind of hope that's what they do. I hope they don't tell us who the league MVP is until we have the honors awards the Thursday before the Super Bowl. I do. Because I want to be surprised. I don't want to know who the league MVP is next week. I want to wait. I do. I want to wait. Wait and tell us. We don't need to know now. Keep it a surprise. We don't get that very often. We don't get surprises very often. So I hope they keep it a surprise. And we'll have to see if Matthew Stafford ends up getting it. He is on the list, and he is having one hell of a year. First game of the... Oh, no. Yeah, did I mess that up? No, yeah. Okay. We got the Washington Commanders heading out to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. If the Eagles win and the Bears lose, the Eagles will move up to the 2 seed. But if the Eagles lose, or if just... Oh, man. I'm going to restart that one more time because I fucked that up. Okay. We got the Washington Commanders heading out to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. If the Eagles win and the Bears lose, the Eagles, they'll move up to the 2 seed. But if the Bears win, then the Bears stay in the 2 seed. Eagles stay in the 3 seed. Cam, what do you got on the Commanders and Eagles?
This one's kind of tough because, beginning of the year, I really was looking at the Eagles to potentially repeat, and who knows? I mean, like I said, this season has just been a blender, so it still could happen. But they definitely have struggled, the Eagles, as opposed to last year, the dominant season that they had last year, being able to run the ball the way they did with Saquon Barkley, and just doing the things that they did on offense and defense for that matter. They just looked like a really dominant team, just completely changing that team's just whole dynamic. And then, like I said, the dominant win in the Super Bowl itself. This season, it just felt like I don't know. I don't know if they're just just riding off the high of that Super Bowl win too long, and it just kind of just jet lagged them into this year. But they definitely have struggled, and it just feels like this offense has just been off balance for most of the year. The defense still looks great. I still say that's a championship winning defense for sure. But they need to be able to fix things on offense and keep things going in critical games especially. So this to me is not as critical as a game. I would say. I mean, against the Commanders, who have not been what they were. Again, this is another team that definitely has fallen off a much bigger cliff than the Eagles have from last year to this year. They should win this game, but I could easily see them struggling too, because again, that's just what the Eagles have done. They've done the bare minimum, I feel like, to win games this year, and it just doesn't strike me as the dominant defending champions that I would have thought that they were going to be going into this year. So I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles. Obviously, I think they're just a better team overall. I think their toughness is just better. They've been clicking a lot better than the Commanders have been. Commanders obviously dealing with a lot of injuries. They're a key injury in Jaden Daniels. So, but yeah, I got to give the edge to the Eagles in this one for sure.
I mean, the Eagles are playing all their backups today. Tanner McKee, Tank Bigsby is going to be the starting running back. You're not even going to see the starting defense on the field, dude. Their starters are not playing.
There you go.
They need the Bears to go out to Detroit and Bears to go out and play Detroit and lose their game, in which the Bears, they want to stick in the 2 seed because they would play the 7 seed. Right now, the Packers are locked in on the 7 seed. And we know the season the Packers have had. That's an easy win for the Bears in the playoffs. You say that now, and then you get to the playoffs, and they end up showing up. And the Packers have done that before. They've been the 7 seed. They played the Cowboys as the 7 seed and kicked the crap out of them. So we've seen that 2 years ago. Eagles backups are playing today. I don't think the Eagles truly fully give a crap whether they get the 2 seed or the 3 seed at this point. They have a home game. And last year they were the 2 seed and ended up taking over home field advantage in the division round when Washington went out and beat Detroit. All that can happen again. Right now the Seahawks are the home field advantage team. They have the first week bye. Whoever ends up playing Seattle next in 2 weeks could end up doing the same thing that Washington did last year, going out and kicking the crap out of them. I said to John that the 49ers, I feel, were the scariest team going into the NFC playoffs. And after last night, they don't really scare me too much anymore. It showed me that if the dominant defense can go and shut down Brock Purdy, Juwan Jennings, George Kittle, and even Christian McCaffrey, 49ers aren't the toughest team going into the playoffs. That scarce meter kind of went down last night after that game against Seattle, being held up to 3 points. The attacking offense that I fell in love with this season from the 49ers, that love kind of went away a little bit last night. It did. And they don't scare me as much as they did 2 weeks ago. So I still think the Eagles are one of the more, favorable teams going into the postseason this year. I think they are. As long as they can get their offense together, I think they had way too many distractions with all the drama going on throughout the season to be the dominant team that they could have been. But the postseason is a totally different monster. It is. And, Sam Darnold had a great year last year, folded in the wild card round against the Rams last year. That could end up happening again for Seattle in the division round. Yeah, you got him home field. You earned what you wanted to earn last year in Minnesota. That's great. And yeah, you had Jackson Smith and Jigba. Yeah, you had Justin Jefferson last year. What happened? You got dropped in the wild card round. So Seattle really doesn't scare me that much. Their defense might. A little bit. But there's a key component to the Eagles offense that might be coming back for the playoffs in one Lane Johnson. He might be back for the postseason next week. And he gets back. That's a big piece of that offensive line puzzle. So if you have some expectations of the Eagles repeating this year, and I'm not just saying this as an Eagles fan, if you had expectations of them repeating this year, keep those expectations up. Because I think they're going to surprise you starting next week when they take on either the 49ers or Rams. Or if they clinch the second seed, the Packers. So we have to see. Let's see what happens. All right. We got the Detroit Lions heading out to Chicago to take on the Bears. If the Bears win, they clinch the 2 seed in the playoffs. But if they lose, and like I said, if the Eagles win, the Eagles get the 2 seed and the Bears will move down to the 3. Cam, what do you got on the Lions and the Bears?
I would definitely see the Lions have struggled, and it seems to be getting worse. It's almost as if like the Lions of old are starting to rear their ugly head again. And the Bears don't look like the old Bears at all. This doesn't even look like the Bears of old at all. So I definitely didn't see the Bears coming out the way they are looking right now out of this season. They started off, they struggled in the beginning of the season, and they really put it together. They've had like 6 or 7 like different, I think like fourth quarter comebacks or whatever. Yeah, I know 6, 7, but it's I don't even mean to do that. It's like a I don't know. I don't even mean to do it. It's inevitable, I guess. But anyway, but they've had at least 6 different like fourth quarter comebacks. So yeah, these guys are really taking over right now, I think. But let's see what they can do in the playoffs because I'm still unsure about this team really. Are they legit or is this all just a facade for Chicago? So we'll have to see. But I definitely see them taking care of the Lions in this game.
Number one, I had to do it. Here's the thing is I talked about not jumping on trends and everything like that. And I figured, you know what? You set it up for success. Gotta do it. We're probably late to the party, though, because that thing's been popular for, 2 months now? So that trend's probably
longer than that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the trend's not dead. You go into, TikTok lives and everything, and everybody in the chat, 6'7", 6'7", 6'7". It's like, yeah. But anyways, the Bears, this could possibly be a facade for them. We've seen teams go out and have great regular seasons and then hit the playoffs and shit the bed for the most part. Right now, the playoffs are going to really expose the teams that are pretenders and contenders. And yes, you're a contender in the playoffs. That's fine. But again, the Lions, home field advantage last year, got eliminated in their first playoff game. The Bears having a hell of a season this year. The Patriots having a hell of a season. The Broncos having a hell of a season. Now the real test starts. Can you make it through the month of January in the postseason to get to February and play at Levi Stadium in Super Bowl 60? Can you get there? That's going to be the question. And you look at these playoff teams right now, okay? And the teams that have maybe past 2-3 year playoff experience, the Texans, the Eagles, the 49ers, the Bills, the Chargers, the Packers, the Rams. These teams have experience in the past 3-4 years, and their quarterbacks, defenses, these players have that full-on experience of having a little bit of a deep. I mean, the Chargers don't really have a deep run into the playoffs. We see them go in and they get eliminated in their first or second game. But the Texans, they almost beat the Chiefs in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Yep.
So anything can happen in the postseason. And you can go out and have a 15-2 year, a 14-3 year, and get bumped because you had a bad game. So the Bears, that's going to be their true test is when they get to the playoffs. And if they're sitting in the 2 seed, yeah, they're going to have the Packers. But then they would have the lowest seed remaining. They would have the lowest, or no, they would have the second, they would have not the lowest seed, the Seahawks would have the lowest seed remaining. So, the 49ers right now, if they sit in the 5 seed, they're going to take on the 4 seed, the NFC South champion, which means the Seahawks would end up playing the 49ers or the Rams because I don't see the Bucs or Panthers making it past the first round. I don't. I don't see it, even though they're playing at home. So the Bears would end up playing possibly Philadelphia. That's who the Bears would play in the second round. And Philadelphia, they're going to be coming. That Black Friday game ate them alive. That ate at them. It did. And I think Philly will want to get payback for their Black Friday game. So Chicago better watch out. You had a great regular season. But now this is where the true test is the postseason. So let's see if Chicago can hold up to their end and what they did this year. We got the Miami Dolphins heading out to New England to take on the Patriots. If the Patriots win and the Broncos lose, the Patriots get the number 1 seed in the playoffs. Cam, what do you got on the Dolphins and Patriots?
The Patriots probably don't really care, but they're gonna go out, win this game, just to, I guess, put a stamp on what a great season that they've had thus far. Dolphins, I think they already know they're headed for a massive reset, possibly a new head coach as well. So I don't even know if they're going to put forth much of an effort. This looks like it's going to be a blowout. Again, with the Patriots just completely dominating, and looking forward to, again, what you just said what's more important, and that's going into the playoffs and see if they can make all of this that they've done in the regular season really matter and get through the playoffs, get through the month of January. I'm giving the answer to the Patriots here.
All right, we got the Los Angeles Chargers heading out to Denver to take on the Broncos. If the Broncos win, it's simple. They get the number 1 seed. But if they lose, then they need the Patriots to lose to clinch the 1 seed. Cam, what do you got on the Chargers and Broncos?
I would say the Broncos, I would think have the opportunity to win this game the most. The Chargers, they still don't. I'm not believers in the Chargers. I'm still not. I just feel like after the game with Pittsburgh, they just looked really sloppy. And I think they've kind of been sloppy most of this season. Justin Herbert, I think, has probably been one of, if not the most beat up quarterbacks. That O-line is horrendous. I think one game he was sacked like 7 times, which is insane. But they still ended up winning that game. I don't understand how they keep winning games and he's sacked that many times. So yeah, no, I ultimately think given that they're going to be in the playoffs, that's going to be a problem. That O-line is going to be the reason that they don't win those critical games in the playoffs. So I got to give the edge to the Broncos here. I think they're going to have a field day getting through that O-line. And Justin Herbert is just going to be running for his life, essentially. So
Trey Lance is getting the start for the Chargers today.
Trey Lance.
Yeah.
He's going to be running for his life.
Yeah, Herbert's sitting today. Yeah. So I think Trey Lance, Chargers don't have a freaking chance today. Trey Lance proved that he's not the guy. He's not. And he's had so many opportunities to prove so, and it's just been a crapshoot for that kid. It sucks because I was a huge fan of Trey Lance coming in and taking over in San Francisco and everything, and it just bad for him. Since then, became a journeyman, and it's just terrible. He started the year off on Dallas's roster. How he ended up out in Los Angeles, I don't know. I don't know. So who knows? Last game of the 4:00 set, we got the Kansas City Chiefs heading out to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. You're probably thinking, why are we even talking about this game? It has no meaning. Hold your horses. It has meaning. If the Raiders lose, then they clinch the first overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. So, Cam, what do you got on the Chiefs and Raiders?
I'm gonna say the Chiefs win this. Again, I think they're really wanting to be able to salvage something positive about this season that really didn't go the way they had hoped. Now, I will say this: there was something you said earlier about the Chiefs getting back on to their winning ways come next season. I don't know about that. I think they're in for a soft reset. I think Travis Kelce retires at the end of the year. With Patrick Mahomes coming off such a major injury, I wouldn't even say start him. I really wouldn't. You're looking at somebody that's your franchise quarterback, your golden ticket, essentially. The guy that has pretty much come in and taken over the league since Tom Brady has retired. So I wouldn't say they should rush his recovery and rush him coming back and starting for the Chiefs so soon. I would sit him and start somebody else. And even in that, it's going to be a struggle for them even next year. So I don't even see them coming back next year and making the play. I don't see them making the playoffs next year either. I really don't. And if they do, they're going to be one of the low seeds. They're going to be one of the wild cards. So that's how I see it with the Chiefs. It's going to be a soft reset before they really get back to what we've known them to be the last couple of seasons. But in saying that, though, it's definitely going to be the Chiefs. The Raiders have been a complete disaster. They've got the pieces. They've got some pieces. I think one of their biggest pieces they added was Aston Genty, and they just haven't really had the team to give him the opportunity to get him going, really. So, and that's unfortunate because he was really good in college, but right now on this particular team, they just don't have enough pieces to be able to, like I said, get him going and be able to give him out the opportunities to really shine. So we'll have to see what they do. Again, looking at another, head coach renewal, probably not bringing back Pete Carroll, and probably quarterback. They're probably not. I doubt they're sticking with Kenny Pickett or sticking with Geno Smith as quarterback. So we'll definitely have to see there. So yeah, the Chiefs definitely should win this game.
There's already talk about the Raiders going out and getting Fernando Mendoza in the draft with the number 1 overall. Yeah, that's
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: I thought Pavia was definitely going to be the Vegas quarterback for next year, and
he said he wanted to go there. So
there is possibilities it could happen. I mean, look at Chicago back in I think it was 2015, 2016, or no, not it was 2018. 2018 draft, the Bears traded in to get the second pick in the draft, and they didn't draft any of the top quarterbacks. They drafted, oh my gosh, why am I? Mitchell Trubisky, quarterback from North Carolina. Okay, Mitchell Trubisky, and that was the year Trubisky took the Bears, won the NFC North, played the Eagles in the wild card round of the playoffs, and the famous double doink happened.
I remember that.
Since then, Mitchell Trubisky has been a backup quarterback in Pittsburgh, and Buffalo, basically. Yeah. So, Pavia could still end up in Vegas. It could still happen if they make that decision. But right now, there's a lot of talk about Fernando Mendoza ending up in Vegas. And the biggest thing is them getting pieces of the puzzle to surround him. They have, I believe, 2 first-round picks this year. I would have to double-check on that. But having the number 1 overall sets you up to pick anybody in the draft. Last year, they ended up getting Ashton Genty. And a lot of people were thinking, oh, Ashton Genty, he's going to be one of those top running backs. I was questionable on that. Why? Because Ashton Genty coming out of Boise State being in one of the lowest conferences in college football, yeah, they made it to the playoffs, but they got shellacked by Penn State. So, yeah, he was a really good running back in a division, in a conference that, luckily, because you won your conference championship, it was easy to do, made the playoffs. Sometimes you can get those gems, and sometimes you don't. Is Ashton Genty a bust? Do you consider him a bust? Probably not. Not yet. Let's see what they do in year 2 for him. Let's see what they do in year 2 for him. I never consider players busts or successes until their 4th year, and that goes especially for the quarterback position. This is the first year that I grade Jalen Hurts. Okay, I didn't consider Jalen Hurts whether he was a bust or a success until this year because this was year number 4 for him. Okay, I always give it 4 years, play every team in the league, give a full assessment on how they do against the whole league. And Jalen Hurts, I would have to say, is a success. 2 Super Bowls appearances, 1 Lombardi Trophy, Super Bowl MVP, 2 NFC championships, 2 division championships. Like, he's a champion. Jalen Hurts is a success. But then you look at other quarterbacks coming out of his class. Which ones are successes and which ones aren't? And that's the question. That's the thing you got to really assess and look at. What quarterbacks were true successes coming out of his drafting class. And Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick. He wasn't a first-rounder. He was a second-round pick in Philly. So, the jury is still out on Ashton Genty. He's got 3 more years to kind of boost his stock, but right now it's not looking good for him. Not at all. So, we'll have to see. Cam, the final game of the 2025 NFL season is on Sunday Night Football, and it is for the AFC North. We got the Baltimore Ravens heading out to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. The winner wins the AFC North, clinches the playoffs. The loser goes home for the rest of the year. Cam, what do you got on the Ravens and Steelers for the AFC North?
I'd be lying to you if I didn't say this has been a rough year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. It's like I kind of expected it to be. I can't really sit here and tell you that. I expected them to be 11-0 and Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league. Like I had low expectations going into the season already as it is. As I do with most seasons, which is unfortunate as a fan. But he's done some good things. I can't necessarily harp on him too much and say that he's just been downright terrible. But he's done some good things. He's done about as much as I would expect from a 42-year-old quarterback. Again, like I said, I'm not expecting him to be the best quarterback in the league. We just need him to be as good as we need him to be for this particular Pittsburgh Steelers team. But yeah, a very up and down roller coaster of a season for the Steelers. Starting off 4-1, and then it seems like things just kind of fell apart after that. And now we're in the situation that we're in now. We failed to take care of business against the Browns last week, which was very critical for us to win the division. So now we're in this position we are right now. Now, I would say, knowing typical Steelers football, they thrive on this kind of stuff. Oddly enough, I don't know why. It's like when they're doing good, if they so happen to be like a 12-3 team, it's like they panic. It's almost as if like, oh, we're doing too good. Now we need to slow down. We need to lose some easily winnable games so we can have our back against the wall, because when we have our backs against the wall, that's when we play our best football. So I feel like the more scrutinized and the worst that they're doing, as crazy as that sounds, they thrive in that kind of stuff because they love playing from behind. They love playing from underneath, however you want to refer to it as in a season. So for me, I feel like they love these kind of games where it's like you go big or go home, you win or you don't. So I feel like this is a kind of game to win. Great. I mean, it's a great scenario. You're at home. You don't have to travel. You're not in Baltimore. So that crowd is definitely going to be on your side. It's going to be a very hostile environment for Baltimore to be able to go into, or to have to go into. So for me, I would have to say I would love for the Pittsburgh Steelers to have to win this game, obviously. And like I said, I feel like it's particularly set up for them to win because they love playing with their backs against the wall, being the most heavily scrutinized team in the league and things like that. So that's what I have on the Steelers. In terms of the Ravens, man, I've been hearing a lot of talk, and a lot of people are saying that the Ravens honestly have looked better without Lamar Jackson. This season, Lamar Jackson really just has not played or looked like Lamar Jackson at all. Dealt with a bunch of injuries this season. So I don't know if it's a physical thing or a mental thing or both. It just doesn't look like Lamar Jackson of old. And it almost looks like Baltimore as an organization is kind of fed up with Lamar Jackson. because he's just not growing. He's not showing any professional or physical or anything like the growth that they need for this team to be able to move forward and actually get over the playoff hump that we talk about every season with the Baltimore Ravens, for them to get to the promised land, which is Super Bowl. So it kind of sounds like they're wanting to move on, not only from just Harbaugh, but from Lamar Jackson as a whole as well. So again, another team that could be looking at a soft or a hard reset going into the 2026 season. So yeah, I'm giving the edge to the Steelers here. I just feel like this is their game to win. They love these kind of games. And what better way to end the season with just a historic rivalry with the Ravens and Steelers. So we'll have to see.
I mean, essentially, this is a playoff game. It is. This is basically a playoff game. You win, you go in, you lose, you go home. This is a playoff game. This is. You can pretty much call this the final regular season game / first playoff game of the year. That's what you can call this. And it's a division game. It's the Ravens and Steelers. It is a rivalry. Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to say this right now, Cam. I legitimately stood behind this man's back all season. I did. I'm not afraid to admit it. And I think he kind of proved me slightly right. Okay. 65.6 completion percentage, 3,028 yards, 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 95.3 pass rating from a 42-year-old quarterback. Not bad stats. They're not MVP stats, but they're better. They're good stats. You look at last year, 65 completion percentage. So he had the same, actually, last year, 63 completion percentage, 3,897 yards. So he had 800 more yards than he had last year, 28 touchdowns, 5 more touchdowns. And he could throw 5 touchdowns tonight. Who knows? So tonight it's still up in the air what he does tonight. But he's 5 touchdowns away from tying his touchdown record, his touchdown from last year. 11 interceptions last year opposed to the 7. So he's improved in interceptions this year by 4. And he had a 90.5 rating last year. He's 95.3 this year. Rating went up. Tell me that's not an improvement by a 42-year-old quarterback. Because I said it. He's going to do much better in Pittsburgh. He's going to have a good year. The win-loss record may not show it. And I get that. That's what we fully base things on. But you got to look at the individual. What the guy did individually. And I think he improved this year. I think he did. Yeah, he has 5 less touchdowns. Who knows what happens tonight? He may go off. Because Aaron Rodgers can possibly still have one game to where he goes off. And that could be tonight. As a Steelers fan, what would you do if Aaron Rodgers threw 5 touchdowns tonight and just went off?
I don't even know.
You would have the biggest fucking smile on your face like you have right now. And you would be like, we are going to the playoffs. You'd be happy. Regardless on how they did all year. You'd be happy.
Fair.
Because you get to watch the Steelers play next week.
Yeah.
While the Bengals, Ravens, and Browns sit home. You get to watch the Steelers in the postseason at Acrisure Stadium hosting a home playoff game. And as of right now, they'd be hosting... who'd they be hosting? Who's the 5 seed right now? The Chargers, I think? Chargers are the 5 seed, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
I have it right here. Just, scroll up, Mike. Look. Who's the 5 seed? Texans. Texans are the 5 right now. But that might change. That might change. Because the Texans are still up for the AFC South today. So the Texans can end up jumping into the 3 seed. And then you'd play the Jaguars. Because it would be a flop. If the Jaguars don't win the South, Texans do, then the Jaguars flop down to the 5 seed. And I'll say this right now, I would not be too scared. Yeah, the Jaguars had a good year. I wouldn't be too scared of the Jaguars on the road. I wouldn't. Do we know what the Jaguars' road record was this year? Let's see. Let's see what the Jaguars' road record was this year. Huh. 6-2 on the road. They were 6-2 on the road. Let's see who they lost to on the road. They lost to the Bengals on the road in Cincinnati. And they lost to this. They lost to the Texans on the road. They lost to the Bengals in week 2. The week Joe Burrow went down on the road. This is January football where things are a lot colder. And they haven't had to, I don't think the Jaguars had to play in a lot of cold games this year.
No.
Because it was still decently warm in Tennessee in November. They played in Denver in mid-December. That's one game, maybe. But they played the Colts. That's a dome. They played Arizona in a dome, and it's warm in Arizona. They played the Raiders on the road. That's a dome, and it's warm in Vegas.
So they haven't had to play in the bitter cold outside.
So the jury is still out on Jacksonville on whether they'd be able to win in the cold in mid-January. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is only 6 hours away from where I'm at, and it is currently 23 degrees outside with the wind chill of 15.
Jesus.
So the jury is still out on Jacksonville on the road in the cold. I would be very, very excited to play Jacksonville with them being on the road next week. If Jacksonville were to be the 5 seed. Let's look at Houston, because you'd end up playing Houston next week if everything stays the same. Let's look at Houston just for shits and gigs. Okay. Houston. Let's see who they went on the road against. They went on the road against the Rams in week 1 and they lost. Jacksonville in week 3 and they lost. The Ravens in October and they won, and it wasn't even cold out yet. Seattle the following week, they lost. It wasn't cold yet in Seattle. Tennessee, it's warm and it's slightly it's warm in Tennessee in November, so it's not bad. The Colts in at the end of November, that's a dome. Kansas City, it's hit or miss in Kansas City in December. Then they played the Chargers, warm, Los Angeles. That's it. So the jury's still out on Houston for this year in cold weather as well. I think the Steelers have a pretty decent chance next week, whether they play the Jaguars or the Texans. I'd be excited. I would be excited. I know this hasn't been the best season. It hasn't been the season you're looking forward to. It hasn't been the season that expectations may have been put up for or anything like that. But I will say this right now. I would not count out the Steelers next week if they win tonight. And there's another factor that they're missing last week and this week that they're going to get back for the playoffs next week. And that is one DK Metcalf who's been suspended.
It's true.
For the last 2 games. So get DK back in the mix. Marquez Valdez-Scantling has been a pretty decent receiver for Pittsburgh these past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the run game, I mean, Kenneth Gainwell and Jaylen Warren have been just a 1-2 punch in that backfield. I'd be a little excited, Cam. I just saying, I could sit here and pull statistics out all day and try and convince you to be excited for the Steelers going into next week if they win tonight. I could try. But only you can make the decision on whether you're going to be excited or not. I would be. If I was a Steelers fan, I would be. I think this might be the year that if Pittsburgh gets past Baltimore tonight, which I think they will, because Me and John have had this discussion about Lamar Jackson and his status in Baltimore. And I think he's done in Baltimore. I think he ends up in Miami next year. I do. He's made it very known that he wants to be traded to Miami and play for the Dolphins. He's made it very known. I think Baltimore pulls that trigger. I think they do. And they ship him off. If they don't make the playoffs and they lose tonight, I think Lamar Jackson is done in Baltimore. I could be wrong. John could be right. John could be right and say, hey, you know what? I think they're going to keep him. And he could be right on that. But I think he's done in Baltimore, especially if they lose tonight and they move forward from him. I think John Harbaugh. I think Baltimore hits that reset button in 2026. I do. I think they hit the reset button. New head coach, new quarterback. Pittsburgh moves on to the playoffs tonight. And you better believe that I will have my Pittsburgh Steelers proverbial invisible hat on for tonight while I'm watching that game. I will be, because I've been pulling for Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers all season. Because AR12, AR8 now, had the year that I felt he was going to have. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I just felt like it was a good move for him to go to Pittsburgh because he has been engaged. His statistics went up. His rating went up. So that's just like other teams. I said at the beginning of the year, the Chiefs weren't going to make the playoffs. The Lions weren't going to be as good as they were. And the Commanders weren't going to be as good as they were. And now look at that. The Chiefs, Lions, and Commanders, after today, are sitting at home during the postseason.
Yeah.
During the postseason. So all the doubters out there that think I don't know my shit. Do I know my shit? Just saying.
I would think so.
just saying. Dude, every day there's doubters. We had somebody on the YouTube yesterday comment. We're just going to have fun for a minute here before we close things out today. We had somebody in the comment section on YouTube yesterday come in, and we got this really good comment yesterday. The person came in and said, I forget what video it was on, but they said, this is some underrated content. I didn't expect it to be this good. For us. Great comment to see. Very uplifting.
Finally.
But then somebody else comes in and says, terrible content, not subscribing. Then don't subscribe. Like, what? Do you have to announce yourself? Like, even the person that said great content didn't expect it. They didn't even have to say anything. Just enjoy the content.
Yeah.
And if you don't enjoy it, it's very easy to swipe up.
It's that simple.
It's that simple. We're like in the day and age of simplicity. We're in the day and age of simplicity when it comes to, technology, to where all you have to do is swipe and things are gone. They're off your screen. There's also this thing called minding your own fucking business and shutting the fuck up if you don't like something. But,
I love it.
We have to say something, right? We have to voice our opinion. If I'm not gonna subscribe to you, I gotta make it known.
It's the attention seekers. That's all it is.
They got about 2 seconds of my attention, and then they got 2 seconds of it. I laughed and moved on. Because the thing is we are a very, very young show. We are very, very young. This show was born in March of 2025. Our first broadcast was on March 16th of 2025. And since then, this show has been running hard each week. Each week, we have been live. We have been live every Sunday since March 16th. Okay. And putting the work in through the 2025 season, the addition of you coming in at the beginning of the year, John, he takes off during the off season, then comes back for the start of the regular season. He does his thing, everything that we're doing here, trying to build this brand Just everybody who's been supportive and helping us build, whether they just watch the videos or they hit the like button as well and join us on this journey. It has been great. And there's going to be there's going to be negativity. There is going to, and that's something that we got to fully accept because, number one, this is the world of sports, so everybody's going to have their opinion. Yeah, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. I respect everybody's opinion. Why? Because it's just an opinion. You're not right. You're not wrong. It's just your opinion. Now, if your opinion is proven right, then great. Awesome. And if you want to celebrate the fact that your opinion was proven right, by all means. But you don't have to be an asshole about it. I'm just saying. You don't.
Well said.
I don't have to be an asshole about it. So, with that being said, before we get out of here, Cam, everybody head over to the Huddle Podcast on social media over on X and TikTok. You're going to hit the follow button on the YouTube. You're going to hit the subscribe button. If you don't want to hit the subscribe button, you don't have to announce it. Just don't do it. I'm just saying. Okay? Same with the follow buttons on X and TikTok and Twitch. If you don't want to hit the follow button, you don't have to make it announced. Just don't do it. Just swipe. That's all you need to do. But if you do enjoy our content and you enjoy what we're doing here building the Huddle Hub podcast, then please, by all means, hit that follow button. On YouTube, hit the subscribe button. And on Twitch, all of the social media links are in the bio because I know for some reason in 2026, Cam, not everybody has every social media outlet. And they can help us build the Huddle Hub podcast going through what's left of the 2025 season and beyond. With that being said, Cam, your socials are on the bottom. Make sure you're heading over to Cam's social media after the show, hitting that follow button. Cam, what do you got going on, man? What do you got going on? What do you want to let the people know that you're doing on social media today?
We'll definitely keep up with me on Cam's Wrestling Corner. I post wrestling content and, my wrestling opinion and whatnot have you. So definitely keep up with me on there. I'm the most active on there in terms of content. In terms of the network, every single Monday or every single Sunday morning, I should say, talking about some college football and the NFL this is the last week of the NFL. And we're going into the playoffs as well. So we got a lot of content coming up for that. And then, of course, on River City Radio on Monday nights with me and Metalcore Mike after Monday Night Raw on the table spot every single Monday night, talking about some Monday Night Raw. And then again on River City Radio every single Wednesday night with the addition of Phil Kahn and, of course, me and Metalcore Mike on The Boom, talking about some AEW Dynamite after AEW Dynamite. So, yeah, we love and appreciate all you guys come by and checking out the stream for the Huddle Hub this morning. So, yes, thank you guys very much.
Go check out Cam's Wrestling Corner. I promise. I'm not just saying this because this man is digitally sitting next to me. Great content. If you love pro wrestling and you want an opinion on pro wrestling, go check out Cam's content. Go. Hit the follow button. When we get off air here, Cam's Wrestling Corner on TikTok, I promise. You won't be disappointed. You won't be. I promise that. And I try to stick to my word. I'm a man of my word. I am. You'll enjoy it very much. Instagram, X, TikTok, Snapchat, Metal Mike 714 is where you can find me. Like Cam said, over on River City Radio and Off the Top Media every Monday for the table spot after Raw, every Wednesday after AEW Dynamite. We are talking on The Boom. Right here on the Huddle Hub podcast, we got a jam-packed schedule. As I said earlier, today is Pink Slip Sunday. There is probably going to be some coaching firings. Keep your eye out. This is why you want to join the Huddle Hub podcast on social media, because as news breaks, of course, I'm going to make a post. It's going to happen. We put videos out. And there may even be a possibility that a pop-up live might happen tonight, pending on how many coaches and what coaches get fired. So keep an eye out for that. That's why if you're on Twitch right now, hit that follow button and turn your notifications on. Right now. Do it. Do it now. Because we may pop up and go live tonight if all this news breaks. Okay? If not, me and John will have all that news on the Tuesday edition of the Huddle Hub podcast at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the Huddle Hub podcast Twitch and YouTube channel. Schedule as far as moving forward through the playoffs is as followed. Tuesday night, 7 p.m., me and John will be back Eastern Time. Okay? Saturday, I will be live at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to get you guys ready for the Saturday wildcard games. Me and Cam will be back at 10:30 on Sunday to get you ready for the rest of the schedule, the Sunday games, and the Monday nighter. Then next week, again, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday. And this schedule is going to uphold until we get to the conference title games, and then Sunday and Tuesday back to regular schedule. So for the next 2 weeks, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday. That's the schedule. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody who came out, checked out the show today. Be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Until next time, have a great Sunday afternoon, everybody. Deuces.